Number 7, and I'm sorry to really ruin your day, but you will never, ever, 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 ever win the Canadian lottery. No matter how convincing the letter looks, no matter how authentic he sounds on the phone, it's a scam, okay? And even though my father-in-law, who's 86, has heard me say this many times, he will still maybe call me and say, Paul, before you go home, can you swing by and take a look at this letter? Oh, Dad, just shred it. No. Before I shred it, can you take a look at it? Why, Dad? And you know what he says? Just in case. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no just in case, okay? Even if it comes complete with a check, shred the check as well, because the check is bogus too. I will never win a lottery through the mail or the telephone. But unfortunately, while you may believe me, there are many, many other people in San Diego County who don't believe me, and they will fall for it every single day. And it's tragic. Last year, I got an email from a retired Catholic priest. It's very unusual for a victim to look me up and actually admit to me that they fell foul of this scam. But here was a retired priest who was 83 years of age who fell for the Publishers Clearing House scam. And he is in no way impaired. He's a good man. He's been, as you can see, a Catholic priest. He was an army chaplain. He's done a lot of things. He honestly fell for this. And in fact, although it says a check for $41,000, he wired the money. Well, because he came to us, I went to my office and I said, you know what, can we do something for him? And we got an investigator onto it. And we were able to, through a search warrant, find out that our priest had wired the money to a Wells Fargo account. We didn't know where it was, we just had the account number. We got Wells Fargo to dig into this, and they uncovered a bank surveillance photograph from Greensboro, South Carolina, or Greensville or somewhere in South Carolina. And this is the crook who had opened the account 3 days earlier, into which the priest wired $41,000. And here he is on the day when the transfer went through, going into the bank to withdraw the $41,000. But of course, 3 days earlier, he'd opened the account. Do you think he used his real name? Crooks don't do that. He opened an account in a bogus name with a bogus social security number and a bogus address. So that didn't help us. The only thing that helped us in this case as to identify who he was his neck. I don't know whether you can see it. He had tattoos on his neck. So our investigator blew up this photo and emailed it to every single law enforcement agency within 100 miles of Greenville, South Carolina, and said, do you recognize this guy with the tattoos? And a detective contacted us 3 weeks later and said, I recognize this guy. His name is Earl Gordon. And he gave us his details and his true name, and we were able to get him arrested in June of last year and drag him all the way back to San Diego to face the charge. This was another victim. She gets a letter from the IRS. Well, she thought it was from the IRS, but in fact, it says, we were able to confirm you were selected as the second place winner in the California State Lottery. When was the last time you heard the IRS were involved with doing lottery schemes? Okay? And it says, congratulations. You've won $950,000. Oh, and by the way, I have to tell you, one thing my mother, who was the best English high school teacher ever, she always taught me this. She said, if ever you see a spelling mistake, it was probably done by a crook. Well, this proves to you that this is a crook, because he works for the lottery claims department. See, he doesn't believe in lotteries. He only believes in loteries, okay? But he works on Pennsylvania Avenue, which is where the White House is, so I guess he must be legitimate. And then the same victim got this letter as well. And it came from Consumer Protection Agency, because we know it's from them because they have a badge, right? So we know it's true. It's authentic, right? Because the crooks wouldn't be allowed to use that, would they? No, of course, it was a actual fake. But again, she thought that she'd won, and she's lost a lot of money. Then I had another victim who got this envelope from Pepsi. Now, we all know Pepsi's logo, and this is a legitimate address in Chicago. But by looking at this envelope, you know that this envelope did not get mailed from Chicago. How do you know that?
Foreign language.
Exactly, the foreign language. What is it?
French.
French, it is, exactly. So where did this come from? In North America. Where would it have come from?
Oh, Quebec.
Quebec. You get the gold star, okay? It came from Montreal, because the first language in Montreal is French. And that is the home, that is the number one home for boiler room scams, is Montreal. So right there, we know this is a fake. Inside the envelope was a letter from Pepsi telling my victim, congratulations, you have won $1 million. And you will be appearing at the ABC network in front of a live studio audience. Get this, for a chance to win $1 billion. Have you ever heard of a competition where the prize is $1 billion? Well, apparently Pepsi has enough money to throw that out there. They tell my victim to contact this representative, Tom Ford. The crooks always give you a very short English-sounding name. They never make it a Greek or a Russian name because they want you to remember it so that you can develop this relationship with them. He gives you the phone number, and inside the letter, he puts a check to pay for her taxes. Now, would you even trust a check that came from virtual Las Vegas? I don't think so. But my victim, and she's the sweetest lady, fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And she rushed off to the bank, and she was told by the crook, don't say anything to the bank because they will try to steal some of your $1 million. So she paid it in. He said, withdraw $3,700 in cash because what we need you to do is pay customs in Canada. And here's the account that you put it into. So she deposited this check, and very surprisingly, her bank allowed her to withdraw $3,700 against an uncleared check. I don't know why they did, but they did. 24 hours later, the bank calls up my victim and says, this is a bogus check. You owe us $3,700, and we've frozen your account until you pay us back. My poor victim, who was on fixed income, on Social Security, could not do that. So she did a very smart thing, because the bank wouldn't budge. You know what she did? She went to the news media, and she told her story on Channel 10. And they interviewed me, and I got involved, and I said a few things to the bank, which I shouldn't have said, but anyway, they unfroze her account, and they took the hit, thankfully. Then this was absolutely tragic. This is a retired businessman in East County who received this check in the mail for $299,000. He thought it had come from Snap-on Tools. He paid it in. He wasn't questioning why they would suddenly, out of the blue, send him a check for almost $300,000. He was just happy. And then 24 hours later, he got a call from the chief financial officer of Snap-on Tools saying, oh, terribly sorry, sir. We've miscalculated. We sent you too much money. Can you wire back $150,000? Without thinking, he went back to his bank and he wired $150,000. And then found out that this was a bogus check. How many grandmas do we have in the room? Oh, bless your hearts. Okay. So you know how it works, don't you? So you get a call from a male voice saying, Grandma, what do you need to do? No, but what do you need to do?
Hang up.
Blow the whistle or hang up. Exactly. And if he starts telling you that he's in jail in British Columbia or in Peru or somewhere else, don't believe him. Okay? So I have two messages for you. Number one, your grandson will never, ever be in jail. Or Number two, if he is in jail, let him stay there, okay? Okay? Because unfortunately, too many people are being scammed in San Diego with this scam. And before you leave today, you're also going to take this booklet, please, okay? And please, if we don't have enough, could we allow those who are over 55 or 60 to take it first? We call it Don't Get Hooked. On the back is not a victim, but is the daughter-in-law of a victim called Mary Baker, who is 86 and who lives in National City and who became a victim in December of last year, and she lost $64,000, believing that her Coast Guard grandson, who is positioned in Maine, had been locked up in Peru. She was absolutely convinced, and she purchased Green Dot prepaid cards and fell for it. So the daughter-in-law has gone and said, by the time we found out the truth, all her money was gone. She says, pay attention. If your elderly parents' routines changes all of a sudden, I wish I had. And how did her mother-in-law's pattern change? They told me she never goes out at night. Never, never, never. But she was going out every night in the first week of December. And she was lying to them. Because they would say, why are you out at 8 o'clock at night? Christmas is coming. So she had them think she was doing Christmas shopping, whereas she was driving all over the county purchasing Green Dot prepaid cards for the crooks. And these are the things to watch out for. If anyone ever asks you to purchase or to send them money using Green Dot prepaid cards, that is a huge red flag. Okay, don't fall for it. Or MoneyGram. If they tell you to go to Walmart to use Western Union, it's normally a red flag that something's wrong. Recently, the grandma scam is now using iTunes cards, would you believe? So don't even fall for that.